Welcome to Morning Message for March the 2nd. Well, it's certainly a cold and blustery day here in Prince Edward Island. We're on a lockdown, so I guess I won't be going anywhere anyway, but I hope you all are doing well today. I thought today I would tell a story about my good friend Ken Williams, and there's a picture of him here on the screen. Ken is a longtime viewer of the morning message. He's a good friend, an Anglican priest. And I've known him for probably 15 or 16 years, and always sending encouraging messages to me about the morning message. So I really appreciate all the support that Ken offers. Wait a minute. That's not Ken Williams. That's former Prime Minister John Turner. This is Ken Williams. So, one of the things that happens to my friend Ken is that he's sometimes mistaken for former Prime Minister John. The two of them bear some resemblance. I can kind of see it, but Ken has a couple of funny stories about it, which I'd like to share with you. The resemblance between the two men is so close that a couple of newspapers over the years have picked up stories about this. So this is one of the stories. It's called "Life Can Be Confusing for a Turner Lookalike." Say, isn't that John Turner on TV? What's he saying? My fellow Canadians, after a careful study of the government's performance, the state of the economy, and the progress of this election campaign, I have made my decision. I'm voting Conservative. Nah, that can't be Turner, but it sure looks like him. Actually, the picture is of Ken Williams, a 44-year-old former Toronto disc jockey who looks so much like the PM that a TV producer once jokingly suggested he do gag commercials for the Tories. He hasn't, of course, but that doesn't stop people from confusing Williams with his famous lookalike. When Williams, a federal civil servant and assistant Anglican priest, delivered a guest sermon at St. George's Church in Willowdale recently, a parishioner told him, "That was refreshing. I honestly thought we were going to get more liberal propaganda. Everywhere he goes, it's the same story. Well-wishers approach him on the street to shake hands. Airport officials offer to escort him to the VIP lounge. Restaurant patrons swivel heads and start whispering, 'It's him.' All of which explains why, when Williams gave his 15-year-old son a friendly pat on the backside, the kid asked, 'Who do you think you are, Dad? Turner?'" Referring, of course, to one of the scandals that happened to the Prime Minister. I have a doppelganger as well. I've never met him. His name is Gary. I only know that because people stop me on the street, particularly in Halifax and in St. John's, Newfoundland, and say, "Hello, Gary." I got into an argument one time with a guy in Halifax who said, "Yes, you are. You are Gary." I told him I wasn't. "Yes, you are." And he was quite angry and adamant that I was this guy, Gary. Sometimes people will show me or tell me that I look like, their brother-in-law's third cousin. I usually jokingly say, "Oh, he must be a very handsome fellow." And they always politely agree with me when I say that. Once in a while, people will show me a picture of their brother-in-law's third cousin, and, to prove that I look like the person, I'll look at it and I think, "Oh, man, I got to take better care of myself." Anyway, this isn't about me. This is about Ken. So here's the other article. I'm not sure which papers these are from. I think Ken told me in the covering email. But here's one. Page 8 hears that a certain Anglican priest in town who is the spitting image of John Turner. Imagine a man of God looking like the devil. I think that's one of the things that one of his parishioners said about him. And that's what got me thinking. You know, there's the saying, we have met the enemy and he is us. I think that's how the saying goes. It's actually a take on another saying by an American Navy commander who, after engaging the enemy, reported back that we have met the enemy and they are ours, which has a completely different connotation than they are us. But it does speak to that idea that sometimes we're very familiar with the enemy. There's a wonderful series of drawings, like cartoons, and I'll put a link to this. I'll ask Amanda to put a link to this in the comment section or somewhere, or in the description, just to so you can see the YouTube video. It's 40 drawings. It's about Jesus in the wilderness, and he eventually, of course, meets Satan. And the interesting thing is the artist chose to make Satan look exactly like Jesus. And I don't think that's a negative commentary on the story about Jesus in the wilderness. I think that's a recognition that evil in this world is awfully familiar to us. So much so that it's almost like it's us anyway. And I think that's part of what the Lenten season is really about. I don't like to talk too much about the devil and Satan and stuff like that, because I think that some of the things that come to mind are really outside of what Christianity would really have to say about those things. But we do have to recognize that there is evil in the world, and we have to deal with it. And as I say, sometimes it's way more familiar than we like to think. It looks a lot like us, in other words. And so we have to deal with that. And I think that the season of Lent is one of those opportunities where, you know, that self-examination that we're called upon to do is an opportunity for me, for all of us, to evaluate ourselves and to think about ways in which we can mitigate those tendencies in ourselves that aren't terribly honorable. So I think that's the challenge for us in Lent. I thank Ken for willing to share that story with us, giving me permission to share it with you today. I don't think it's such a bad thing. I think John Turner was considered to be a rather handsome fellow, so it's not such a bad thing to look like the former prime minister, but to look like somebody's brother-in-law's third cousin, that may not be a compliment. I don't know. But anyway, my hope and prayer for all of you today is that that you will be empowered to that self-examination that ultimately leads to a life that's more fulfilled as we are strengthened to do God's will in this world. God bless.